family law?
Family law, the main reform here, and this is the area in which Islamic law is more detailed than other laws, because it was new in the Arabian society to deal with the family specifically and to make it the nucleus of the society. What was important and essential in Arabia was the tribe, the clan, not the family. To focus on the family, this needed from the Quran to be more detailed. So the consent of the woman in marriage, the mutual rights of the spouses in running the family, and the equal rights in running the family, affairs, it should be run according to the Quran, not only the juristic elaboration, by mutual consultation and consent. Not mutual consultation which does not reach consent, and not mutual consent which is taken for granted without consultation. Both should be there. And then whenever a problem happens, it should be solved through discussion, through arbitration. Divorce is the last resort, and in this case all the rights of the divorcee should be maintained with regard to alimony, with regard to custody, with regard to remarriage. If it happens that the spouse dies and the man or the woman becomes a widow, and a man also can be widowed. So the rights of the widow in inheritance, in remarriage, in anything is detailed. So in general, that the rights of the children, it is very important that the family is not only the parents, is not only the spouses, but the rights of the children also should be maintained, whether they are minors or when they become adults.
Finally, civil, commercial, and labor law.
Yes, as I said, the Quran preceded, and the Sunnah and the Islamic law preceded their time in considering the difference between business and its requirements of speedy action and the civil transactions, which may be slow. There are two requirements in the civil law that, and in general in the Islamic law, that any person who witnesses a thing, he has the responsibility of delivering his testimony about what he or she witnessed. And this is a responsibility which can be extended to anything, to the freedom of opinion, to the freedom of criticism, the right of criticizing anything that you witnessed, and you have an opinion with regard to it, you should present it to the authority. The other thing is that nobody should suffer for any testimony, for saying anything that he has seen. No pressure should be made on any witness. And this also can be extended to politics, to any opinion, to religion, that anybody who expresses his or her opinion should not face any pressure. And this is very important in civil and business law. With regard to labor, as a matter of fact, there was this pioneering effort in considering the workers having rights, even the slaves having rights. And there was a special officer, a special governmental official called the Muhtasib, who goes to the companies, to the fairs, to the markets, and see if a slave is overburdened with work, is a worker is working in unhealthy conditions or required for a burdening work. If an animal, like a camel or a donkey or a horse, is loaded over the capacity of the animal. And he has to stop this on the spot. And he has the administrative and the judicial, the executive power to enforce this on the spot without going to court or anything like this. So the workplace and the marketplace were an early area of activity for the Islamic law and the Islamic legal authorities.
Professor, does the fact that Islamic law is based on Islam itself affect its implementation by Muslims?
Yes, of course. As I said, the spiritual and the moral influence, that it is not just guarded by the police and by the courts. It is guarded by the conscience of every believer. But of course, as I said, this would not affect the non-Muslims who would follow it or abide by it as the law of the land. But the Muslims will have this pious or this religious factor, which I think any law would benefit from it, because the problem is not in law. All over the world you find very good laws, but it is the human beings. So if you find a factor related to the human being in implementing the law, this would add to the effectiveness of the law.
Why have some Muslim societies adopted non-Muslim styles of government? In other words, or for example, military dictatorships, despots, one-party rule?
Well, I believe first they haven't real or true or genuine information about the Islamic law. And they do not think, this is number one. Number two, they do not think about the long term. They think about the short term. And with regard to the short term and being ignorant of Islamic law, they follow the precedents that they know in the contemporary world. So if dictatorship is applied, let us say, in Germany or Italy, and moved them fast from their situation to be a world-threatening state in a short time, then let them try this thing, and they do not notice the disasters which were brought by Nazism or by fascism, which really made up far more than the few years of improvement or reform, and the Germany and Italy suffered from them for a long time and until now, psychologically, morally, politically, in every case. And the one-party system, of course, the communist experience. And now I think the communism collapsed, but still the examples of China or something, a very big country with a very huge population, and they could do something through these circumstances. Many developing countries are trying to reach the same thing, and they did not realize, for example, that if China hasn't opened a little bit and hasn't gone out of the strict limits of communism and opened many windows to the Western system, China is still suffering from technological backwardness, from many things, but it is all the achievements that they achieved mainly were not in the time of the Cultural Revolution or the strict dictatorship of the proletariat, but when they opened a little bit and gave slight things, gave up certain margin for the human initiative. So they look to these examples with lack of knowledge about Sharia, with looking only within the short term, not the long term, not the psychological and the moral effect on the people. with following the precedents which happened in the West, within all these limits, they were trapped in these systems, and unfortunately, of course, because the people suffered, but fortunately, I think a lot of realization has come now after knowing the bitter results of these systems.
What are the proponents of Islamic-style government trying to achieve when they call for a return of Islamic-style government in their societies?
Well, I believe that this should be connected with a real practice of juristic intellectuality. And unless we have real jurists, because in all our heritage, the jurists, as I said, represented a dynamic factor in applying the divine sources to the changing circumstances. Unless we have this juristic intelligence and intellectuality and effectiveness, I believe that restoring or returning to Islamic law would be just rhetoric, or maybe more than this. It may be an illusion. Are we ready really to understand the realities of the contemporary society? And are we really ready to respond to them with new jurisprudence and new juristic ideas?